More rains have lashed eastern South Africa following one of the deadliest storms to hit the country. Nearly 400 people have died, while more than 40,000 others have been displaced. We're going to discuss all of this now with Richard Munang. He's the Africa Regional Climate Change Coordinator in the United Nations Environment Programme. Richard, thank you for joining us on TRT World.
Thank you for having me.
The intensity of the rains and the flooding that we're seeing, is this all down to climate change? Because some of these regions are known to have high rainfall during this time of year.
Yeah, thanks again. The reality is that if you close your eyes to facts, you will learn through accidents. And this is an African proverb from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Seat Assessment, which was released last year, and the last of that report was released this year. It shows that we have only 20 years for the world to hit 1.5 degrees. And as a result of this, we're going to see extremity in climate events like droughts and like floods. And when you put this within the context of Southern African region is actually warming twice as fast as the rest of the world. And so the attribution of these floods and the extreme events that we're seeing across the continent are actually related to what the science is telling us. And yes, these extreme events are connected to the changing climate.
Richard, does the international community have a responsibility to help those countries that are experiencing this right now, especially richer nations who are actually huge emitters of greenhouse gases? It's their actions that are the reasons the developing world is bearing the brunt of climate change-related disasters.
As I've said, the brunt of the changing climate is actually being bared mostly by developing countries, and more so Africa, which have contributed the least, just between 3 to 4% of the entire global greenhouse gases. This then means that Africa needs to be supported. And if you look at the Southern African region today that is actually suffering from these floods, actually there needs to be support. And if you look at South Africa, for example, they have over 17 climate policies, and they've actually revised what is called climate plans, or the nationally determined contributions that need to be supported to be able to build resilience, to be able to ensure that at least people can then be able to put food on the table, to strengthen agricultural production, and also ensure resilient infrastructure. So support needs to be dovetailed within what countries have already put in place, the policies, the climate policies, the climate actions that have put in place, but done so in three aspects. Firstly, if you look at the Southern African region where these floods are actually plaguing millions of people, we will notice that actually they need to be able to develop what is called green infrastructure, protect their wetlands so that at least they can be able to reduce this flooding. The second aspect is to actually start to make rainwater harvesting become part of national culture, national development, and support needs to go into that, because after floods there will be drought, and actually water will be needed for irrigation. The third aspect is that if you look at those who are highly vulnerable, there are those who do not have the socio-economic means. It means that opportunities for people, especially for young people, where we're talking in South Africa, 63% of them are unemployed, and most of them are put insecure. They need to put more money in more pockets, so that at least when there is a flood or a drought, they can then be able to move to other places, and they should be able to have the financial means to do so. This means that actually the support should be geared towards building on what countries are already doing, but more so ensuring that they build climate socio-economic resilience.
Okay, Richard Munang, I really appreciate your thoughts on this topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.